we are live.
We
Oh,
are
we are
live.
live. We
Are
are
we
live.
on the internet?
We
We
are.
are live.
We are on the internet.
Yay. Hello,
Yeah.
everybody. Welcome to the Radio Podcast, episode 16. I'm your host, Brian. And this I'm followed? No, I'm not followed by. I'm joined by my good friend.
I follow you quite a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for stalking me.
Yeah, thanks for stalking me.
Yeah.
I'm joined here by Kieran. That is, of course, Kieran here.
Hello, guys.
Hello. If you're new to the show or anything, we just talk about games and TV shows and stuff. Normally there is a third member, but he is currently not here this week.
Yes.
So it's just a two-man show tonight. We're both very tired, so it is low energy from both of us tonight, I think.
So very tired.
But we are going to do our best to talk about
Yep.
Resident Evil Village. We leave out the 8. There's no 8 there. It's just Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, I mean, there is technically the 8 within the Resident Evil.
Within the word village.
Which I like that. You know, it coming from like a graphic design sense, it's actually quite nice.
It's quite nice, yeah. So normally we do a podcast every week. You can catch us here every Sunday, apart from the last few Sundays, because life got very busy for all of us. And it was just
sick.
not possible. Between illnesses, other arrangements, work. It just didn't. It just
forgetting.
Yeah, forget it. We never forgot.
No.
Yep, maybe that 1 week, but it's fine. We never forgot. But yeah, so I know we've said before that won't happen again, but we can't.
It will absolutely keep happening. But
yeah, we're scheduling is our one thing we're not good at.
Yep.
But
when you think Mortal Kombat, and I loved.
I just heard your voice.
Yeah, I was.
It was a beautiful voice.
Oh, thanks, Brian.
Thank you. That's what I do. Anyway, dear listeners and our viewers, we'll start off what we do every week. We do this podcast. We start off with a little segment called "What are you watching and what are you playing?" So, Karen, are you watching and/or playing anything interesting at the moment?
Watching not really. Although I did. No, I'll quickly say I watched the whole first season of Cat People on Netflix. Because I'm in fact a cat person. It's just adorable. It's really nice seeing a bunch of cats and people who love cats.
Yeah.
That's basically it. I can't really go too much into it, can I? I did watch. I finally got around to watching Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Wow.
I was a lot more impressed with that than I thought I was going to be. I know like Zack Snyder is like kind of reputable to be a better, like when he releases the director's cuts, they always seem to be much better than what the original was. The Justice League film is actually really good, like, and just in comparison to the original Justice League, because I saw it was fine.
I mean, you cannot get any worse than that original one. So
yeah, it's yeah. There's like few bits in it that I enjoyed, and the rest of it was just utter trash. Joss Whedon being a absolute bellend, really. But yeah, Zack Snyder's one. I don't know what Warner Bros. Were thinking by going, "Oh, Zack, your one doesn't seem to fit. Joss's seems, better." There's literally no character development in Joss Whedon's one, and in comparison to Zack Snyder's one, it's so much better. It seems just much better in terms of a tangible story. You're introducing brand new characters into a new setting outside of not getting an origin story, and pulling it off a lot more successful. It did bode well. Yes, it's 4 hours and you really have to sink an evening into it. I watched it over 2 nights, but it was really good. The only thing that bothered me was the 4:3. I'm just, even if it had been 16:9, it would have been much better. It didn't even have to be the 2:3 by 1 kind of thing, the widescreen. But like that's 16:9. No, didn't like.
Yeah, no, I fully plan on watching that eventually myself. I just need to find 4 hours to be able to sit down and actually watch it.
Yeah, to be fair, it's worth it. It is actually worth it. Like,
I would. Like, as we know, like Zack Snyder left the film because of a family tragedy. So, and then Warner Bros. Decided to just bring in Josh Whedon as and Josh Whedon just decided to reshoot everything. So that's the movie we got. But as I said, I will eventually watch it. I just need to find 4 hours to be able to.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, last week I was sitting down. I didn't really want to play games, and there was nothing really on TV or like Netflix or anything like that I wanted to watch. I was just like, fuck it, I'll just like get the 7 days trial of Now TV and go watch it. Because I feel like I've just kept putting it off. And I'm in no way a Zack Snyder fan. I don't think Zack Snyder has made a good film since Dawn of the Dead. You know, I just don't. I like 300. You know, there's a few films that he does, like, they're grand. They are what they are, but they're not spectacular. And, you know, the whole, like, Snyderverse thing and bring back Snyder, like, he was this absolute amazing director that was shot down kind of thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was a load of crap, but no, fair play to him for finally actually getting the thing and putting it together, because it is so much better.
Yeah, like as we can kind of say this, but as like creatives ourselves and who've gone off and shot and made stuff, like if I work on something and then someone else comes in, ruins it, and then puts it, of course I'm gonna want my version
absolutely
out there.
Yeah.
So, you know, I can't say obviously on that level or anything, but yeah,
I know there's after Joss Whedon's was released, I think his wife saw it. Someone else that was working on it at the same time. I think it was the fellow who did the soundtrack. They worked on it, and they saw the Joss Whedon version and turned around and just was like, "Don't watch it. It will break your heart."
It's like, you can't watch this. Yeah. Now, like, I'm not a fan of the DC movies. I don't like the direction they went with pretty much any of them. But I will watch Justice League just for the sake of watching it. Like, I want it to be good. I want DC movies to be good. Like, I heard the new Suicide Squad's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
Wonder Woman was great. I mean, Wonder Woman was a great film.
Wonder Woman was great. First one was really good.
Second one was abysmal. It's bad.
I didn't watch it, but I've heard many bad things. But like I want, like, same thing I said from in the games industry as well. Marvel are running away with superhero movies, and even Marvel movies are just basically copy and paste the same thing over and over again. But they are allowed to do that because they have no one challenging them. So
kind of
I want DC movies to get to that level, so Marvel will have to up their game instead of just doing their copy and paste or by the numbers movies that
I think with the way that the Justice League Zack Snyder's one went, then followed on with like the Suicide Squad and now the new Batman that's going to come out, I think DC are kind of going to start hitting their stride. They're going to start pumping out stuff.
Really hope so, because as I've always said, and I said it in the games industry as well, it's a competition breeds creativity.
Oh, absolutely. So you get lazy when you have no competition. Like.
If you have no competition, you're just going to be lazy. That's what I feel like Marvel movies are now, and a lot of video games, but there's no competition. What's the point? You don't need to try. People are watching and play. You don't need to try. But as for myself, I'm not playing anything at the moment.
I'm playing something.
You are playing something. What are you playing?
Playing something. I was playing. Well, actually, today I started Control. Not really feeling it yet, but I want to give it more because I love the cinematic aspect to it. It really, like, when I was saying beforehand that like Space Odyssey was 2001 Space Odyssey was like supposed to be their big influence for it. I can totally see it. Every single part of that screams it.
Between that and Twin Peaks. I really liked Control. I can't wait. We'll do an episode on.
Oh, absolutely, when I clear it. I was playing. It's free this month. It was also on Game Pass. Plague Tale: Innocence. I've played it on Game Pass beforehand, and I started playing it again just because it was free this month. That's a fantastic game. Like the stealth element and the whole setting for that game is fantastic. If you haven't played it, I think I've been trying to convince people to play this for bloody like a year since I played.
You mentioned it a while back. I have it for free. I got it for free here now. So I will eventually. I say I got it, as in I look at my PlayStation 5 and say, yes, it is on you. Yeah. I just haven't actually played it yet. But
I spotted the lads are going to do a podcast episode. The Brothers Take. Great podcast. We've talked about them before. Great. But I think they're going to do an episode on whether the concept of whether Plague Tale is a horror game. And I'm going to straight away say I'm going to tune in for this because I'm really intrigued to what they do. in terms of what it is. It's not a horror game. It's not. It's a stealth. It's very much a stealth driven game set in an absolute horrendous time during European plague.
How apt for our time we're in right now.
Yeah, it's like a massive outbreak of the Black Death. One of the periods. Fantastic. I'm really interested to see how they'll compare that. So very interested. Tune in to that one now. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. As for myself, I'm not playing anything at all. I just have I go through it probably once a year. I go through a period of I fall out of love of games. I was like, I just want to play it. I'll play it. I'll play games, but I'm not like invested in anything. So yeah, I'm just going through that right now. I go through it once a year. It's like I've got nothing really to play or I'm not interested in anything. For watching, I'm not really watching anything. The only thing I'm watching at the moment is I've gotten really into Dimension 20, the D&D campaign channel on YouTube, because they are doing some of the most hilarious D&D that I've seen ever. Because I've watched Critical Role, and Critical Role's fine. Critical Role's there if you want to watch that massive branching story with amazing voice acting and all that, blah blah blah. And then Dimension 20 is the other side of the coin of like, hey, remember D&D's just fun?
That's
just crazy off the walls fun. Where you
college humor that does that.
College humor. I honestly didn't know until I started watching it that it's college humor. I thought college humor was gone years ago.
Yeah, totally.
I haven't seen him in like 10 years. But it's like goes like I recently watched an episode, slight spoilers for one of their seasons, but they have a fight inside a musical theater on Broadway, and famed director Steven Sonberg helps fight them. Director of movies such as Sweeney Todd, West Side Story, and Into the Woods helps them out in a fight, and he's just there for some reason. It's just fantastic. It's so much. It's D&D. You can be it's fantasy. You can be whatever you want it to be. So it's hilarious. So recommend if anyone wants to get into D&D or wants to watch D&D, Dimension 20. Some great stuff, and they're like 2 hours long, so you can put them on in the background while you're doing something else. That's what I normally do. Yeah. Then other thing I was watching, I did watch. I got home. I got home from work yesterday, and I was like, you ever be in one of those moods where you're really tired, but you want to watch something, but you don't want to have something you don't want to have. You have to think about.
Yep.
Or think while watching it. So I put on Chris Pratt's new movie, The Tomorrow War, on Amazon Prime.
I hear that's supposed to be terrible.
Oh boy, it's not good. But it's not terrible either, but it's not good. I was saying to someone today, I don't think I've ever watched a movie that had so much potential and had so many good things going on, but also being terrible. There's a few shots of like they have practical effects for their monsters, and I'm like, oh my god, practical effects these days, that looks so good.
Yeah.
Then the overall premise of the movie is there's a war happening with aliens 30 years in the future, and humans are losing, so they go back in time to like modern, like 2021 or whatever, to sign up people to be like, hey, come fight in a war that happens in the future.
Yeah.
Because we have no troops in our time anymore, but you come and reap the past people essentially to go fight. And I'm like, interesting idea. And then there's like, oh, you can only be chosen for the war if you are going to die within the next 30 years anyway. So you won't be alive in the future anyway to see it. So you might as well fight to try and stop it for people who are going to be alive. I'm like, that's a cool idea.
That's a cool concept. I like that.
It's a cool concept. But then it just starts to be like, oh, the entire world has banded together and all wars have stopped and all countries have now agreed that this is something we should do. I'm like, that would never happen. You lost me right there then.
Yep.
The most I seen a comment on Reddit, and I fully agree because I was thinking of Jordan. The most unrealistic part of the movie is that the world would band together to help fight this thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
But
do you know what? Do you know what's a true to life story of like, the way humans react to like this overwhelming destruction? Mass Effect, where it's like this overwhelming destructive force is coming. It's like, I don't believe you. We're going to continue to fight each other. Fuck off. Go
away. Yeah, Mass Effect. Oh god, Mass Effect. I love those games so much. But Yeah, that's and then Tomorrow War, cool action. Like there's some shots that I genuinely paused and went, that looks fantastic. Pity it's in this movie. You know, I'm like, God, it's. I couldn't get over how like a movie with so much good things going on for it, and then also the movie's 2 hours and 18 minutes long, and it ends. I'm telling you, it ends at 90 minutes, and then it keeps going. It's like, why are you doing this? This movie
like,
already ended.
Yeah.
Like that's not a very fine ending. Then another extra 40-45 minutes on top of it. Then I'm like, why are you doing
10 minutes to wrap up things. That's all you need.
10 minutes to wrap up. Yeah,
An extra 10 minutes.
40 minutes of like, oh, very contrived. Oh, we need the plot to keep going because we need the movie to keep going. That's all happened. I recommend if you want to watch it, just if you don't want to watch something to think about, and watch a hokey action movie to turn your brain off to.
I'm tempted to watch it just because I want to see how bad it is.
Yeah. And what I'm studying film and all that, and everyone in the industry says you learn the best things from the worst movies because you learn what to do.
Yeah. It's like that was bad. That
was bad. Don't do that. Yeah. But anyway, that's shall we get on to our actual topic of the evening?
Absolutely. What is our beautiful topic?
We are talking about Resident Evil Village, or 8, however you want to say. Yeah. So, Kieran, before we talk about the game, you were a fan of 7, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm a fan of like all the Resident Evils. Bar, I'm not a massive fan of, and this is a very, very it's a touchy subject to be bringing up about a Resident Evil game. I am not a big fan of Code Veronica X. It's like a massive fan favorite. I didn't like it.
Totally agree. I don't think it's a good game. Like it's fine, but it's one. It was that weird period of like, oh, this is Resident Evil 3. Oh no, it's not Resident Evil 3. Yep. This is now Resident Evil Veronica. Yeah.
Yep. It's no special. It's no bolus Special K, you know.
No, it's definitely no bolus, but we're not sponsored by Special K. If only. Yeah, so like, we were all like, we're big fans of Resident Evil 7 because I remember 7 when it was coming out. It was like, oh, it's first person now. I was like, oh, that's controversial.
Oh, I was one of those people.
Yeah, I was like, this is different. And then we played 7, and 7 turned out to be a fucking 7's so good.
7's amazing.
So good.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I remember we all thought then, I was like, is 8 going to be first person? Then we had that very first trailer that they released for 8, and I remember when I first seen the trailer for 8, I was immediately hooked, but also very wary of werewolves.
Yeah,
how are werewolves and going to do in this? It was a long story short, really well, but yeah. So, okay, where do you want to start? Do you want to do what we liked, what we didn't, what we thought was mixed?
I think, maybe. Yeah, it seems to have worked for the last one we did.
All right.
I mean, I just to jump. I was one of the people that was on the controversial side of when 7 was released. I was like, I don't really like the idea of this game. I thought the idea where there was just a few people chasing you, there was no real enemies, bar like a family, was just like, this isn't Resident Evil. What are they going to be? What have they done to my boy? What have they done to my boy? I put a soccer right in my mouth when I played that game. That game was amazing. The concept of that entire game made it even more terrifying that you only had like a family of like 4 people chasing after you. And 8, I remember seeing the trailer for it, and I know there was a lot of controversy in terms of like the werewolves as well for it, and I was just like, do you know what, I felt this with 7. I am not jumping down that rabbit hole. They pulled it off, and I know for a fact they will pull this off too with the werewolves. I was like, I was so excited. It was, yeah, give it to me. I don't care, give it to me. I think I saw one trailer for Resident Evil 8. I was sold, and I didn't watch the rest of them.
Same. I only ever really watched the very first trailer they released for it. I think it was at E3 2019? 2020.
No, mine was 2019 when I saw the first trailer. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, when they showed it off, and I didn't watch any more trailers for that. So I only got to know like Lady Dimitrescu.
I was it.
Dimitrescu,
That's all I knew.
from the internet,
Yeah.
like from Reddit being horny, go to jail.
Yeah, yeah.
Punk.
Stop. I had absolutely no contact. Do you remember when I live streamed this for like 2 hours? I live streamed the first 2 hours of Resident Evil 8 for and I remember distinctly going around through points of this being like, I have absolutely no context of this big titty goth girl and step on me mommy whole meme culture. All I knew was like these memes I kept seeing online, everything. No idea. Got into it and I was like, what the hell is wrong with people?
Yep, I knew she was in the game, and I was like, okay, I never got it. But other than that, I had seen nothing before the game came out, so I knew nothing. I didn't even know there was other lords in the game. I didn't know who they were.
Yeah. I just thought it was like Lady Dimitrescu.
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 Depending how you say you're not. Some people say you're not supposed to mention the U.
I don't think it's not. Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently the game does, but then if apparently in real Romania you don't pronounce it, so I don't know.
I know the shopkeep. What's his name?
The Baron.
The Baron, yes. He doesn't. He calls her Lady Dimitrescu. The Duke. Yeah. He calls her Lady Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu.
Yeah.
See, there we go. So maybe we were supposed to say that, but yeah, God, it's where I've played this game recently, and I can't remember any of the characters' names. And apart from Ethan, who is once again back again. What a segue! Yep. Ethan is back. Ethan Winters back again as our protagonist, Mr. No Face, because he literally has no head. If you ever look in the game, he has nothing apart from cutscenes. He has a shadow face.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what. Okay, so because I need to compose my thoughts here for a sec of what I liked quite a bit.
Absolutely.
Quite a bit. Like, there's very little I did like. First thing I will say straight off the bat of what I left, I love the atmosphere in this game. Oh my god, when you're in the village itself, it feels like Resident Evil 4, because I remember playing Resident Evil 4. I was so terrified of Resident Evil 4, even though like you go back and play that 4 is not scary. But I remember
it's not. No, but
when it came out. Oh boy,
it was
4
tense.
was scary. It's very tense, yeah. And I remember being the same in this one, because I remember playing the demo they released. There were really weird demos they released where it was like, here's one week, there's another week, and then you only get an hour or so. And I remember immediately playing the village demo, and I fell in love with how the game felt. It was this oppressive feeling you found when you were walking around that village. You had that massive castle in the background, you had the snow, the ravens. Like, you really felt like you were in Romania, like in this haunted little town or village in Romania. And then when you get into the castle, then it's the same feeling. Like, you went into that. I specifically remember the grand lobby.
Yeah.
That when you walk into that, and it's like it's a nice little fire lighting, some mood lighting, that big giant oak stairways, and you could just stand in there. It's completely silent apart from like a clock.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it really
yeah.
made you feel very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because and also made you feel like you were being watched all the time. So atmospheric wise, I adored this game. Just adored it.
In terms of like the atmosphere, I think like what Capcom have like nailed in terms of the Resident Evil series, and particularly with 7 and 8, is that atmospheric feeling that you're always expecting something to happen. Every time I opened the door, I was expecting an enemy to like punch it into me. Every time I would climb up a ladder, I was expecting someone on the top to kick me off. Every time. It would never come, but I would always expect it. And it's like it is like I tip my hat to them just for kind of creating that little, and even just like the village itself, doing the atmosphere, the tense. I remember the first part of the village where like you're in the, and then like you kind of shoot your few first werewolves, and then you get caught in the little house, and loads of werewolves start like attacking you, and all of them just start coming around, and you have to like essentially leg it. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea what to do, and it was one of those parts in the game where you're just supposed to get caught, but I had no idea.
Essentially, yeah,
and it was just it was so intense.
That was so good, and I loved even at the start, even going back even further at the very start, when after you gain control of Ethan after the van crashes.
Oh yeah,
and you're going through the forest and you can hear werewolves
Or
running
like,
around.
yeah,
You go through houses and
Yeah.
everything like that, and you can hear noises and crashes, and there's blood everywhere, and it really made you feel on edge. And that was my phone's dinging. Normally I complain about Kyle.
Oh.
Yeah, look at me. Whoops.
And Kyle's not here to enjoy the
Kyle's not here to
banter.
enjoy that.
Going out.
Yeah. Sorry, people outside my house. Yeah, so I just completely derailed my train of thought. Yeah, so yeah, props I will give it, and I'll give the a big credit to obviously for Capcom because of the RE engine that he used in Resi 2 remake, Resi 7, and now Resi 8. There's something about that engine in the way because those lighting and just detail on like even the little things. You pick up little vase, you see like cuts and blemishes on everything. It's just it's so good. RE engine, just continue being good, please.
I think it's like it's when you're coming into the village and you're kind of climbing through like the little bits of trees and shit like that, and you can see like all you can really see is like the light of your flashlight kind of going through stuff. And as soon as you kind of come out through the thicket of the bushes, you overlook the town and the castle and the like rays and gorgeous clouded sky. Jesus, like it's such a gorgeous game.
Beautiful. It is stunningly beautiful.
The enemies are fantastic as well. Like just moving on kind of from I suppose how it looks and the feeling of tenseness. The enemies are great in there. Are great, like they add to that intensity as well. Where for the majority of it, you fight like kind of the werewolves as the normal enemies scattered around, I suppose. And like those bastards just dodge bullets all the time.
Yeah,
it's like
mad.
Boris the bullet dodger, you know, over there. And Boris the bullet dodger, and
dodges bullets.
He dodges bullets out. And it just adds to that intensity of like you're trying to kill this like horde of bloody wolves and they're just like dodging bullets and you're like, Jesus Christ, just die already.
Even the first one you fight, it like attacks you in the house and the old man gives you the gun. And he like throws you through the wall and you start firing at it and it just starts
dodging.
I'm like, how are you get so good at dodging bullets, man? Come on, you are a werewolf of all things.
Yeah.
How are you so good? That's the one thing I'll add on to loving. I love my only issue I really had with 7 was that there wasn't much of a enemy variety. It was basically you fought obviously the 4 members of the family as bosses. Or 3 you fight really, isn't it? 3.
Yeah, it was 3 really.
Yeah, 3. But in between that was just mold, and it was the same enemies. So once you kind of learned very early on how to kill them, that was it. And it was only the same enemies you always seen. Like, I'm going down to the spooky mine. At the end, it's the molded. I'm like, okay, so yeah. At least with this one, I like that it switched up with at the start it was werewolves. Then when you get into the castle, it was the slow shambling.
Oh yeah, those like zombie.
I don't know what.
They were like undead little monks.
Yeah. Who, if you read the lore of the game, all female.
Yep. Yeah.
All female. So yeah, and they could wield weapons, so you know they could attack you behind from with swords and shit. And they were they freaked me out. I didn't like them. And then later, like way later on in Heisenberg's place, you got to fight kind of like how do you describe them? Mech zombies.
Yeah, it was the most Silent Hill-esque.
Wasn't it though? That whole entire
that whole entire Heisenberg part in the factory was essentially just playing Silent Hill for a bit. The Silent Hill everyone wants, and Resident Evil has given it to us, you know. So
exactly. Oh, we heard you guys want Silent Hill, huh? Okay, well, we can do it now.
We'll do it for you.
Yeah. And then I liked the enemy variety because it kept you on your toes, and then it would mix it up every so often as well, so you didn't get bored of fighting one. You'd mix it up, so it was good in terms of enemy pacing. Very good. What else was good, Karen? There's lots of good things in that game. Give me one.
One in particular, and
go for it.
It's always it's a standout moment for me, and I think it's a standout moment for everyone in terms of Resident Evil. Again, we can't talk about Resident Evil and the best points without talking about the Bellavianu house, Dollhouse.
Benevenetto.
Good
God,
Dollhouse.
I I could talk about that for the entire podcast.
Absolutely, it
God.
is, and it has gone down. Like, the reason why they took a more action spin to Resident Evil 8 is because everyone kind of said Resident Evil 7 was too terrifying. And it is. It's
Right.
great, but it's a horror game. What do you expect? Play it. If you like horror, go play it.
Huh?
And then Resident Evil comes out with, oh, lads, we'll put a bit more action into it. We won't be as terrifying, we promise. And then they go and put the Dollhouse in. And I think the internet is all in agreement where that is the most terrifying section in a horror game I've ever experienced.
I was awful. Good
Yeah.
God, I haven't been that scared in a moment
Yeah.
since I think probably Dead Space 1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, God, the entire house Benvenuto. What I love about it is that there is no combat.
Yeah.
There's
no combat in that whole section.
It's almost at least the until you see the giant fetus. It is all atmospheric.
Yeah.
Is atmospheric, and it just teases you constantly.
It's like stuff falling and little bits of noise.
I remember at one point you have to go back into like the autopsy room, and there's a picture frame that falls, and I jumped, and I was like, oh, don't like this at all.
That was. I remember when I played Resident Evil 7, I had to, just out of pure, like, I just had to take a break for myself. I would like maybe play for an hour and just turn it off and jump back into it. When I was playing the Dollhouse, and I brought this up beforehand in the podcast, I am absolutely terrified of dolls and kids in the horror context. I don't know why, just can't handle it. Everything else doesn't faze me whatsoever. I think I had to stop like every half hour. I think I played. I went into the Dollhouse at first, and I think I solved like one little bit of the puzzle, and something frightened the shit out of me. So I just like kind of turned it off, came back like maybe 2 hours later and came on and played it another half hour, had to turn it off, and I think I finally got to the baby, and I remember coming down the hallway and I didn't even get to see the baby. All I heard was this knock at the end of the thing, and I legged it back. I ran so fast back to the bedroom and dove under the bed, and I had to wait like 5 minutes for the child to catch up to me. Come around the other side of the bed, I had to crawl out, and I hadn't seen it at this point. All I saw was the little feet. The first time I saw the baby was when you leg it. You finally, you put the fuse in, you get the elevator open, and you dive in, and it just smashes up. And I was just like, oh shit.
Oh, it's awful looking. Whoever was the developer or the programmer who had to make sure its flaps waved enough with like the reverberation of its sound coming up. I looked straight at you. It was amazing and also terrifying, and I hate you and I love you.
Can you imagine being the character creator for that?
Yeah,
that's the character creator be like,
with that, like, good God,
I got it.
Yeah, Benvenuto. I remember that entire, again, it all plays on your psychological of something's gonna happen, you just don't know when.
Yeah,
like you the part that I used to kind of like look away. I was like, I don't want to watch this. Was when you get a film reel and you watch like a projection of like someone walking down to the well and everything, and I was like, something's gonna come out of that well, or something's gonna come out of that darkness, and I'm not okay with it. And I didn't, and then like the projection paper screen rolls up and falls, and I hit myself. And then you go through the whole thing, and then you have to go down that.
Yeah. Oh, I thought something was gonna jump down after me, like.
Then you get down there, and there's a cradle rocking. I was like,
yeah.
I'm the same with you. I can't do kids in terms of horror. Hate it. So you climb down the well, you get the thing, you climb up, and there's a big crash, and I'm like, the fuck's that? And I just waited there.
Yeah, I waited for ages in there, and I was like, nothing's really happening.
Climb back up. I did not do what you did when I seen the baby. I stood there in pure shock of, what the absolute hell is this thing? Like, who made this? And then obviously I was like, okay, time to run now, because I don't want to get eaten by this thing. So I remember running, and on subsequent playthroughs, you learn that it doesn't really follow you, but God, does it make you feel like it's following you?
Oh yeah, it makes you feel like it's constantly trashing right behind you.
Oh, it was absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
That house Benevenito, and then you go upstairs then, and then the whole doll thing I didn't mind.
Oh, I
just
yeah, no,
having a doll. I was like, you dolls.
do not.
But yeah, Benevenito, House Benevenito, I have not been that scared since probably Dead Space 1, and that is what, 14 years ago now, I think.
2011.
2011? Oh, okay.
I think it came out 2011.
10 years?
Funny enough, it came out the same year as BioShock, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
I think so.
Well,
let me just double check that. Let me
I'm gonna
just
double check that. Why did he double check that? I'm gonna vamp. Hey, listener, how you doing?
How you doing, guys?
Enjoying the show? Leave a like and a subscribe, or don't. I don't really care.
Wow. Even earlier, 2008, Dead Space came out.
Oh yeah, so like 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Nope. 13 years
Oh.
ago. Bad at math.
I am absolutely.
I'm studying film and TV, people in college. I'm not studying math.
Yeah, so I don't need to
for
study
that.
math.
I don't need math for that. But,
the PS3 release of BioShock was in 2008, and the Windows Xbox release was 2007. That's crazy. I never knew that.
That came out on Xbox first. I remember.
Wow.
I remember playing that on Xbox first. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I never knew that.
Yeah, but Resident Evil, back to Resident Evil 8. One thing I would say I really liked, and this was a bit controversial, I would say, is that I'm really happy that you deal with Lady Dimitrescu pretty early on in the story, because I remember hearing about her. I was like, okay, is she going to be the main villain? I don't think she's going to be the main villain, and I kind of hope she isn't the main villain. And she wasn't. She was like the first Lord you just dispatched real quickly. And I liked that, because I was like, good marketing. You made everyone buy this game because of a big titty booty gotten girl, and fans ate that up.
Yep.
And fans bought that for her. So I'm like, you know what, marketing department of Capcom, good job. You got yourself lots of sales there, knowing full well that she was barely in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well done.
I will absolutely 100% agree. In terms of, I think Resident Evil 8's pacing for the story is fantastic. I don't think there's too little. I don't think there's too much. But in saying that, I felt when I played the game that maybe it was just my fault that I ran through it too quickly, or I played it too much and I just like devoured the game. I felt that every time I would leave one of the locations or I would kill one of the lords, I was like, do you know, I wish I had just maybe a half hour or an hour extra of that location, something in that location, particularly the castle as well, like, because I felt like I killed the daughters within the space of 10 minutes of each other, you know, and it wasn't obviously, it was like maybe an hour, I'd say, but I just felt like I killed them so quickly that I wish they had just given me a little bit extra. And even then, saying that, it's just because I enjoyed it so much. That's why I wanted it.
Fly through it, yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally see where you're coming from. I maybe would have liked to seen a little bit more of the castle at least. But going back to your kind of early point, I do think the pacing, the way it turned out, was pretty much perfect. Like you don't overstay your welcome in any area. None of the bosses or none of the lords overstay their welcome. They tell very good like stories with them, and then it's on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. But I do see what you mean. I can fully understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
The one I felt that kind of got the short end of the stick was
Mordecai's. Monroe. That wasn't it.
Monroe. Even though I really loved his boss fight, if you want to say, I did like.
I loved his entire area. It was
his area of jumping from like these
the rooftops,
the rooftops that are underwater and have to work at the windmills. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
it did what all Resident Evil games have done. Is like, it's good puzzles.
I love
and Resident Evil was born on puzzles back in the early days.
If you can, like, it's and funny enough, it's the same with Plague Tale. If you can work puzzles into your gameplay so fluidly that you don't really realize that you're doing a puzzle, you're doing it well. You're doing it really well.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And then you got his boss fight. And his boss fight was hard. I died a few times actually.
I died once because I didn't realize there was anywhere I could hide from the acid rain.
Through the acid rain, same thing happened to me. I was like, where do I go? Where do I go? Yeah. It was great. Heisenberg. It's just the four lords in general. Just like were so good. Heisenberg was so compelling. I loved Heisenberg because I kind of agreed with everything he said. No, I kind of think throughout the entire game, Ethan is a bit of a dick.
Oh, I mean,
he's a bit of a dick. No, I get it. They have his daughter.
He full well believes his wife has been shot.
His wife was murdered. Yeah. But he's a bit of a dick. I remember the part where when you have to get Monroe's key, and he takes it, and he's like holds it up in front of him when Monroe can't get him. He's like, "I'm going to be taking this, you fishy freak," or whatever. And I'm like, "Oh man, that's a bit of a dick." He's just there. Come on.
Yeah, I felt really, really bad for Monroe.
Monroe, yeah,
because he was just like falling apart and just wanted to be loved, and everyone just was like, "Fuck off."
Yeah, if you got the short end of the stick and everyone made fun of him, I'm like, "Oh, the poor man. He's a fish person. Come on, give him."
Wouldn't mind. He was the person who was like creating all the serums and stuff, wasn't he? The person who created Lady Dimitrescu.
Yeah. He was a quote unquote scientist. Yeah. What's her name? Mother Miranda gave her the thing, but I think Miranda worked with Monroe.
Yeah, Monroe to.
Yeah, and Heisenberg's factory was great, and I was like, Heisenberg's got an idea. It's like, oh, let's just go take out Mother Miranda. It's like, okay, yeah, then he would have taken over, but I just liked him. He was just so charismatic.
I think, yeah. Do you know the funny thing is, when I was playing it, I was convinced he was voiced by Troy Baker for like a while because he had that really cool, charismatic Southern drawl type of accent that Troy Baker does for some of his characters.
Yeah, I can't remember. I look at there's a woman on YouTube. Yes, that's right. She voiced Jill Valentine in Resident Evil 3 Remake.
Yes, yeah.
And Nicole Tompkins, her name is. You can look at her YouTube channel where she has been playing through all the Resident Evil games with actors from the games that she's in. So she's gone through and she's played with like Resident Evil 2. She's played Resident Evil 2 with the guy who voiced Leon and Claire. And obviously she is Jill. So, but the guy who voiced Nikolai and the guy who voices Nikolai from 3 is the guy who voices Heisenberg.
Is he? Well. Oh, brilliant!
Yeah, and it's fun to I put them on in the background sometimes, and I just listen because you get cool stories of or behind the scene footage of them like doing mocap and everything. It's such a fun job.
I know.
And I want. But yeah, I'm just trying. There's tons of things I loved about Resident Evil 8. I love the twist early on that his daughter is dead.
Yeah.
Essentially. In those like jars, I was like, "Whoa,
yeah,
that's so cool!" Like, you want to save your daughter? Well, too late. She's already dead. Like, what? Yeah. That's good. But then the Duke is like, "You can save her somehow." Really?
But that's. I don't think that is actually her though. I think it's Eve, Mother Miranda's daughter.
Well, Mother Miranda wants to bring back Eve.
Yeah, but I don't think they were like that Rosemary, even though it was written on the jar that was like Rosemary.
Yeah.
I don't really think that they killed the baby and split it up, because in the end it's just like back together fine kind of thing.
Yeah. It's a weird. I can see where you're going now. Yeah. I took that because Ethan is mold, and he was born.
Which is also a great twist.
Great twist, but he's been dead the whole time.
Yeah.
Dead. Because like you start playing the game and like things that like.
Oh, his hand getting chopped off.
His hands getting chopped and he stuck it back on and everything.
Yeah,
and
I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
Game. I was about halfway through the game. I think I said I met up with you and I was like, you were already cleared the game at this point. But I was like, something's not right about him. Because
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
The amount of trauma that man takes. He gets stabbed through the gut multiple times.
He gets put up on hooks.
Put him on hooks. The amount of trauma that man takes. And I was just taking it, oh, it's a video game and it's Resident Evil.
Yep.
It's being a bit camp or so. I was like, but they kept doing it so much. I was like, nah, there's something not right. And then it turns out that his body is technically been dead the whole time.
Yeah.
And he is mold.
Yeah.
And you get that revelation at that in there when Ethan dies at the end. First time he dies at the end. And you see Eve again from the 7th game. I was like, it's really cool to see her come back. I was curious when the game was coming out. I was curious how they were going to tie 7 into 8.
Yeah, I was always quite interested in how they were going to do that. They did it well, very well.
They did it very well. And
one thing that I didn't like about the twist, is that there was no real inclination when you're playing 7. Even Eve doesn't refer to you that like you're dead or like teases you a little, and I feel like her character would have tried to like subliminally kind of teased you a little. And I feel like they just kind of slapped that on after 7 and didn't really. I
was about to say that. I don't think they came up with that idea during 7. That was something they came up way later.
Yeah.
Because so apparently you die. Jack killed.
Yeah, he like kicks you in the face.
When he kicks him in the face. Because I remember actually playing 7 when that happened. I was like, God, man would not survive a kick to the face like that. He got that boot in the face. So yeah, I love that whole twist. Other things I love. I'm a sucker for, and it doesn't matter what the game is. It's any game for lore. I love lore and how games tie into each other and everything. Yeah. So what I love playing all Resident Evil games is like how is Umbrella linked to this? Because we knew Umbrella were linked to the sigil.
The sigil, yeah.
Now we know.
I absolutely love that Resident Evil 8 has turned it around, that Umbrella's not linked with it, that this was the origin for Umbrella, like Spencer had been there. Yeah, like Spencer had been working with Mother Miranda on the parasite, the mold, essentially. I forget what's the original mold called again. It's
oh boy,
something myceliate or
the metamycete.
The metamycete. Yes, he was working with her at first, but saw no potential in it, and then found the Las Plagas parasite.
And he found the flower.
The flower. Yes, that was it. Yeah.
He would then turn into the T virus. Yeah. Like, good God, I love it. And then that entire like room you go to towards the end of the game as Chris.
Yeah, and read through all the books.
The lore, you read through the books. I'm a sucker for lore. Like I got obsessed with Resident Evil a long time ago, where I was like, I am going to read the entire timeline.
If you read the entire timeline of Resident Evil, it's a treat.
It gets so confusing, but so good.
Yeah.
So I love how they tied it into the older games now. And every game they seem to like tease Blue Umbrella, who
so Blue Umbrella is,
they're apparently good guys,
right? So what happened is so Chris started the BSAA with Jill, and Umbrella kind of fell after
3.
After 3 and 2, where everyone realized it was actually Umbrella, so they went bust and everyone kind of turned on them. And then they sold loads of their secrets and stuff like that to different businesses. Umbrella took over, and Tricell, they essentially became Tricell. Blue Umbrella were created essentially as a private industry from like ex-Umbrella scientists that were like, we want to try and recoup what happened. We want to try and fix it, but we need to do it as the face of Umbrella, but different, so people know we're good.
Which makes no sense to me.
It's like,
people are not going to trust Umbrella, period.
It's like, I get what they were like, we need to face up for what we did and be like, come out straight up and be like, look, we are Umbrella, but we're better, we're good. So Chris still being part of the BSAA was essentially the Blue Umbrella came over to the BSAA, and they were like, can we just like have someone to help us with this? And they essentially gave them Chris, And that's where Chris comes into the end of 7. He is helping the Blue Umbrella because they asked the specialist to come along. And but because Chris starts working with the Blue Umbrella and kind of starts finding out more about the mold and stuff like that, he starts becoming more and more suspicious of the BSSA.
Yeah.
Because they're obviously doing dodgy dealings, and by the end of 8 we find out that they're actually using bioweapons to fight their stuff, and that's why Chris goes off with the Blue Umbrella to their main base, which I really hope is going to be a DLC for 8.
That's what I'm thinking. They've announced only recently. They said there was going to be no DLC for 8, but because it's done so well and there's a big clamor for it, they're going to do a DLC. So I'll say it's going to be a good maybe next year even.
I'm okay with that. I'll wait.
Yeah, I was saying, but now I'm very curious about what they're going to do. What can they do? Will it be Chris? Sorry, my Google is activated there. Quiet you.
Hey Google.
Quiet. No, quiet you. I didn't even say anything close to it. Anyway, never mind. Technology, folks, it's scary. So yeah, no, I'm really, and they've done that at the end of every, well, not every, but since 7 anyway. 7 ends with like, ooh, who are Blue Umbrella, and then 8 goes, ooh, now it's the BSA. So they're always leaving little links, little ties, for the future. God, there's so much good other things I can think of, but I know we're already been for an hour now nearly. So.
We've been talking about how much we love Brian. What did you not like about
anything? I did not like.
I do have a few bits.
You do a few bits. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to think. Like, there's nothing I outright didn't like. Yeah, not like. I would think if I was saying anything I didn't like now, while I think the game is perfectly paced. God, I can't talk tonight. I do think it maybe it could have been a little bit longer. Like you're paying $70 for this thing. It's only I got 10.5 hours. It's a lot of money for just 10 hours. Yeah. Now I know there is replayability and there's the mercenary modes and everything, but I've never played mercenary modes.
It's never really intrigued me
in any of them. So while I think it is perfectly paced as it is, I think if they had maybe added a little bit to every section, making it just an extra maybe 4 hours long, maybe. Just add a little bit more bang for your buck.
I think a 12-hour mark would have been
14 hour. I think would have been nice. Now, as I said, I think the game is paced absolutely perfectly. I think it is a perfect 10-hour story. But $70 for 10 hours it's a lot. It's asking a lot these days.
It's and this is the problem with I think the gaming industry as a whole. That you're either getting a game that is 1, not finished and completed your updates, 2, excessively short, or 3, the new craze of the director's cut where. Oh, do you know what? We didn't get to put that in. It's like we didn't really finish that aspect, but we wanted to add update to it. But we're gonna make you charge.
Yeah.
It's like I don't get if you sell me a DLC, that's great. That's like added content I can play, but don't charge me extra for a game that should have been like that when you first released it. That's a whole different topic. Director's cuts.
We'll get into that eventually. Yeah. Good boy. Yeah. So what did you flat out did not like?
Okay. I found it very unpolished. If you compare it to the likes of Resident Evil 2, because Resident Evil 2 for me in 2019 wasn't it?
Oh no, 18.
2018, I think came out January.
Keep talking. I will check.
Now it's my time to shine. How are you people? How are you doing? What you get up to this weekend anyway? It's Sunday now, and we are busting some sweet podcast knowledge.
Because busting makes me feel good.
Oh, if you haven't typed in busting, it's Neil Cicero. I forget his name. Just type in busting. Right? Yeah, 2019, January 2019. Resident Evil 2 came out, and that was my favorite game of that year. it's if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but that's built on the same engine. They're all built on the same engine. And Resident Evil 2 gave us the ability to stab and slash a body. Now these are small little picky things, knock over things, and overall the aspect of like lighting and stuff like that I think was overall better than in 7. Yeah, I think it was looks very great, and the atmosphere really does come across. I just don't think it's as well matched as Resident Evil 2. I think the fact that like if you go around stabbing things, it doesn't budge, it's just all static. You know, there's not a lot of stuff you can like, if you shoot at a body, nothing happens, it just passes through. If you stab at a body, nothing happens, it just passes through. It's just little things like that they had in 2. Why would you regress a game when you know you can already do it, and you know you should do it, just for those added little touches of perfection, you know?
Yeah. I wondered if they did it because like not a lot of people do that.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. Just play devil's advocate. Maybe they're like, oh,
maybe.
not enough people do this. So
yeah, I know it's like it's like I don't like go around stabbing shit, but it's as like a gamer, I suppose one of the things that you will always do in a game when you first get it is see, one, if you can see your feet, 2, see if you can slash at something and it moves, or you know, there's little things you do when you get a brand new game for first time, just to see if that game has implemented that into it. You look in a mirror to see if your reflection gets in it, stuff like that, you know. And I was just a little disappointed that they decided to regress a game instead of progress in terms of their style. I also didn't like the aiming mechanics.
Yeah,
I remember saying this to you. I can't remember because I haven't played 7 in years. I couldn't remember if 7 did the same aiming as the first person. I can't remember. I probably hated it then as well. Where you normal over a, like first person, you can see the gun in front of him, and then when you aim down the sights, it brings down so you can look down the sights directly. You know, and in Resident Evil 7, it decided to, you know, aim down the sights like, oh, here's my like first person, and here's my aim down sights.
Like,
you know, you just slightly zoom your hand in a bit.
7 did the exact same thing.
Yeah. I just didn't like it. I found it a little finicky in comparison to if you play first person games and you expect it to come down to your sights. It's just threw me off.
I think they were trying to do like maybe something like 2 remake where you can stand still or you can shoot, but then if you like stand still, like it tightens so you can get a close shot. Maybe that's what they're doing. But no, I fully understand what you're talking about. It took me a long time in 7 to get used to that. When it happened in 8, I was already used to it. I wasn't expecting it to be different. But no, it's more like I'm gonna tighten up and zoom in instead of an actual ADS kind of look. I got you.
One other thing, because there's not a lot I don't like about the game. I thought it really was like, it always kept me on my edge. I always wanted to jump back into it. I'm absolutely going to replay it when, you know, down the road sometime when I've kind of forgotten a bit of it.
Now, I won't lie.
One of the biggest gripes with me, and it's not even that I was disappointed that it didn't happen. I was disappointed that they chose to do this, and they decided to advertise the game really pushing Chris Redfield. The cover is Chris.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, no, but not even that. I liked the idea that he might be the bad guy, but the cover on the case, the cover on the case, your case is Chris on it, and I'm like,
it is.
Why did you do that? Chris is in it for, I'd say, 10 minutes overall in the game. You know, he's
not only is it Chris on the front, but it's Chris that's half werewolf. So
yeah,
oh God, he's the villain.
It's like I just did not like.
The department was interesting.
I did. I loved that they really loved the whole, and they got on board with the lady Dimitrescu stuff. Loved that. I thought it was hilarious. They really, and I loved that they were like, we didn't realize this was going to go down so well, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I just didn't like that they were really pushing the Chris Redfield aspect, and he's barely in it. And I'm just like, I love Chris. I absolutely love Chris Redfield. If he had been into the game, if he had been in the game more, it would have been great. But I was really looking forward to carrying on Ethan's story and just having Ethan, and it just felt like they pushed Ethan aside and just had him as the guy you play as. and didn't actually really do anything with him and wanted you to focus on Chris, the fan favorite, you know? And that's grand. I love Chris, but just, you know.
Chris is one of the OG guys, you know.
Yeah.
When this came out, I was like, "There's no way he's the villain. There's no way he's the villain. There's no way he's gonna die. He's one of the. It's Jill, Chris, Claire, Leon.
Yeah.
You know, the four of them will never die. They will continue on forever.
I really hope they bring back Barry. You know,
oh, remember Barry? Barry was in Revelations.
Barry Burton is in Revelations. He is where he's going after his daughter on the island, which is Revelations 2. Absolutely great game. Myself and Reggie played that.
I've never played through any of the. In my head, like the only Resident Evil games that count are like 1 to 1 to 8 now, I suppose. I would agree as well, but I just said, like, Reggie had Revelations, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to let's do it? Go up, let's play it." Yeah.
And we jumped in and played it. It's very interesting because you split into 2 different stories. One is Barry Burton and a little girl, where one plays as the little girl who doesn't wield a weapon. She can't do anything except sense where the zombies are. And then the other person is Barry, gets all the guns. And then the second playthrough is Jill and Barry's daughter. I forget her name. It's been a while. And she doesn't like guns, so she doesn't use a gun. So it feels like one person gets the short end of the stick when you play the game. But in an overall aspect, it's a very interesting way to force you to play a game where it's like a way out, where it's like one person goes and does the thing while the other person distracts whoever's there. It's like it's a real teamwork effort, and it's a good way to kind of implore a gaming sense.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. One thing I would say that I was mixed on the game is that the difficulty it isn't that hard, even if you play it on the hardest difficulty, or the hardest when you first play the game is hard. It's not that hard once you get over the initial survive the werewolf attack. It gets pretty easy. It's pretty easy.
I never felt like I was running out of ammo for anything.
No, that's what that was what I was mixing about. I was like, it's the hardest. This is when you first play the game, it's the hardest difficulty, but it's not that hard. I played it on hard, and I normally don't do that, but I was like, I'll play it on hard. Once you get over past the werewolf attack at the start, it's not that hard. And I was like, I'm kind of just sailing through. I know I died a few times, obviously, but I just sailed on through, nothing really worried me. I know there is another difficulty that you unlock after you finish the game called, I think it's Village of Darkness. And that's apparently crazy hard. So I might
attempt
go back to that. We'll see how much I hate myself on the day.
I will say I was very impressed because when Resident Evil came out, Chris McGuire, one of the hosts of Brothers Take, he was playing through it, and Chris doesn't really play horror, and he was kind of going on about how he'd clear it, and then happened to mention his brother Eric had already cleared it with 4 hours on the hardest difficulty for his first play, and I was just like, God damn, gifted. It's like fair play.
Good job, man. Good job. So I don't think I have too much more to say, really. I would like
small gripes, small gripes.
Small gripes. Here and there. What game do we not have small gripes with?
Absolutely.
The only thing I would like to end on now is a little bit of speculation of where do you think Resident Evil 9 is going to go?
9.
Like 7 and 8.
Yeah.
This is classed as a well, I thought they were building this as a trilogy, but I don't know. 8 seems to have wrapped up the mole story. Ethan's dead now. Or is he? We'll say that in a second. I hope he is, to say, because that kind of ruins the end of it. But anyway, where do they go now? Do we go back to it's going to be Chris now, or is it going to be Leon? Are we going to get one of the OG people back? Are we going to play as Rose, Mary, daughter next?
So
what do you think?
I definitely think that if they are doing the DLC, I think it's going to be Chris going to the BSAA.
Mm.
I would doubt it. That it's going to be. That's going to be the next game. I would say that from the ending of the 8, that it's going to shoot forward into the future, and you're probably going to take the role of Rosemary. I would say. I would absolutely love to see them bring back some of the older characters. I'd like to see. I know like Claire is off. She works in like some eco.
It's a. I know the group you're talking about. Yeah, it's a group that an eco group that are there to help people who have been through all this.
Yeah,
and help all the cities and everything.
Yeah, Leon is like a special agent for the presidency. You know, Jill, she's still part of the BSA, and we haven't seen Jill since 5.
Since 5, yeah. So we have no idea what Jill's doing.
Yeah. And then what Chris is doing the BSA. Rebecca Chambers is.
Oh God, we haven't seen her since.
She is in one of the movies.
She is, yeah, and she's in 6 as well.
Oh, she is, yeah, I forgot that. Yeah.
Is she in 6? No, she's not in 6. No, that's Sherry Birkin in 6.
That's Sherry, yes, yeah.
That's with Wesker's kid. Wow.
So there's possibilities of what characters they could go back into, especially some of the fan favorites of Leon. And I know they're doing the Netflix series with Leon and Claire, and I know they're kind of doing a lot of the movies with Leon.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that they need to bring back some of the original characters if they are going ahead with Chris. I think, especially Jill. I really wish they'd bring back Jill into the BSA. But I think the future will definitely, if it's not going to go back into some of the original characters, it's definitely going to push with Rosemary. Anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they need to bring back someone from the originals now. That's not Chris, because Chris has been in 7 and 8 now. He can be in 9, but I would like to see Claire back, his sister.
Yeah,
one of the other OG4 anyway, or Barry. Bring Barry back.
Bring Barry back.
But I finished 8, and it was that Flash forward. Now, I will caveat here for 1 second. There are people out there who think that's not a Flash forward. That is just a few weeks or months maybe after the end of 8, when Rose visits her father's grave, because there are people out there theorizing that the mold that is basically part of her now is rapidly aging her.
Maybe
she was a big baby when she was born and all that, so
quite literally. Oh yeah, my problem with that is there's quite literally no evidence
for it
to give any inclination to that.
No, exactly. It's fairly loose.
Yeah,
we know Evelyn aged very quickly. So we don't know, but there are people out there who believe that that's not. That's only not. It's not a like what that looked like about a 16, 17 year jump forward. Where then Leon, Chris, Claire, and Jill would be all almost in their like 50s by the end.
Oh yeah.
So
Chris is probably in his 40s in 7 and 8.
Probably, yeah.
So he'd be in his late 50s.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that he can't be an action. They all can't be action heroes at that age.
Maybe
it was still weird to watch these people age in front of you. Because eventually they'll either stop aging or just die. Yes, Mr. President. I hope we don't play as Rosemary, because it sounds like she has special abilities, and I don't want. Like, it's a horror game. If you're gonna have super cool, superhuman powers, you're not gonna be that scared of things, are you? 7 and 8 have been scared from a first person because you're just a regular guy.
Yeah,
I think if you start introducing magic powers into it now, it's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Not saying that the games aren't already weird, but it might start jumping that shark point.
I think it gives the player too much power. It's like when you replay Resident Evil and you've unlocked the special weapons with like ultimate ammo or like the really strong hand cannon. I think a better aspect for that would maybe be that they bring Claire back in, or Jill, as someone who has trained Rosemary. Rosemary is starting to maybe lose control with the mold and becomes maybe the enemy for it, and Claire or Jill being their carer or trainer within the BSAA, or whether it's the new Blue Umbrella by that point. Maybe then they have to kind of try to hunt down Rosemary or try to turn her back or see if whatever. Like that could be a good aspect.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen the end of Rosemary and Mia Winters anyway. I think they're definitely gonna be back for 9.
Yeah.
And the last thing I will end off on then is at the very end of 8, we see Rosemary and a secret agent who, and his probably friend, because he clearly has someone with like snipers trained on him, because he's like, oh, I've got it, it's fine.
It's fine.
So they're driving away, and as they're driving away, they meet somebody coming down on the road, and we're not allowed to see who that is. Now, people have modded like through mods and boundary breaking and everything. We've found out that person anyway at least looks like Ethan Winters.
It is the exact character model for Ethan.
Exactly. Now, so my question to you then, is this actually Ethan Winters? Or the developers, which developers are want to do in many, many games, will just reuse assets when the player is not supposed to see, characters in the distance. They will just reuse an asset. Yeah. So instead of having to make and spend money to make a new asset, do you think it's that?
I think it's either there's going to be 3 possibilities, I'd say. One, it is Ethan, which it'd be stupid, really. I don't think it will be. There is a massive possibility it could be an asset that they just reused because there's no intention of anyone seeing it. Or what I think it might be is that Rosemary, because she's part of the mold and all of the, like, Ethan was part of the mold, etc., that it's some sort of, like, if you study like myceliate fungus within trees, that they can all communicate within that. So I think it's kind of like, because she has that fungus and so did Ethan, that she can still see Ethan.
That's true. He's probably part of it.
I think it's kind of like this kind of instinctual within her. She can kind of just like see Ethan, or like remember some memories, or just like just talks about her.
I kind of like the third option there. For one, I don't think he's alive. I think that ruins the end, because he actually, despite you don't really know a lot about him, it does hit you in a little bit of the feelings.
Yeah, it does.
To save everyone. It was like that's cool. It's a nice heroic moment for him to go out on, because he's already dead and he's already fallen apart. It can't be him. I do like the idea of that, because I think that's how like Evelyn was able to communicate. It was all through the Metamycete, and Evelyn's dead, so she was still able to come back and tell Ethan that he's dead, essentially. So it feels weird to do that in that moment of like she sees him on a road. Yeah, maybe. But I like the idea that I don't think we've seen the end of Ethan. At least I think he'll be in 9 in some way, shape, or form, probably.
Yeah. Probably flashbacks or something, maybe.
Flashbacks, something, yeah. And the last thing I'll say, or I'll ask, is, do you think it will be first person again?
I think so. I think that any of the remakes you're going to do, I think 4 is obviously going to be a third person over shoulder. But I think that the way they're going forward now is the first person. I like, why would you regress when you push forward? Why would you go back?
And it kind of fit, just from my OCD, it would fit the structure of the, if we said a trilogy so far, the PS1 trilogy, 1, 2, 3, all isometric, top down
tank controls.
All 4, 5, 6, all third person action games. 7, 8, 9, all first person. Games. So I think of now they could completely ruin that and be like, 9's going to be an isometric tank control game. Cool, you've ruined that nice thing you had going on there. They might just do that just to annoy me if you're listening to this, Capcom. But
just for you.
Yeah, I'm very just for me. Blame me. But yeah, I am very excited for number 9. It's going to be a few years off. It's going to be 3-4 years away.
I can imagine. Yeah.
But yeah, anything else to say before we wrap up?
If you haven't, go play Resident Evil 8. What are you doing listening to us? Go buy it already.
Also, spoiler alert for Resident Evil 8. We didn't say it at the start.
Hey, if you're watching our podcast, you know by now they are all spoilers.
They are all spoilers. Hello and goodbye. But yeah, I think we can wrap it up there now. We've gone for
Absolutely, I think so.
hour and 10, 20 there, I think. Yeah, I haven't been keeping time at all, but it's fine. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone, live and or on podcasts, whatever your podcast app of choice. Thank you so much for listening. We will be back next week. We already have plans for next week's episode anyway, so there's definitely not going to be another big 3-week break. Don't worry. So until then, I've been Brian. This has been Kieran. I'll point with my comb. And for anyone wondering, by the way, I like to fiddle around with things when I'm on a podcast. The comb was the closest thing. A fidgeter. The comb was the closest thing to me tonight. So
yeah, out of view, I'm just like fidgeting with things. I also have like my lens cap. I'm just like,
oh, do that. I like to do that a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've already ruined this outro.
Goodbye, everyone.